Good morning, good evening. Let's discuss today about Hybris Solr indexing. So we will discuss today to see how the Solr indexing works, and we can add some new attribute to the Solr indexing and see how it works after adding new attribute to the Solr indexing. So let me go ahead and show first to see how the indexing is used in any e-commerce site. So if we take any e-commerce site, there is always a search functionality. Without search functionality, there is no e-commerce. If you take anything, any e-commerce site like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, so there is always a search functionality. So if we search here, for example, iPhone, so it's bringing all the products related to the iPhone. So if you type like iPhone 7, it's bringing iPhone 7 specific products. So this search mechanism behind the scenes, it's used Solr, or there are different search mechanisms available in the market. So each company may be using different searching mechanism. So there are some search mechanisms, but Hybris will use Solr searching indexing for a searching mechanism. So this is the default out of the box storefront that's Hybris provided. And if you see, there is a search functionality here. And if we search, for example, training, see, so there are a bunch of like products coming here. There are a bunch of products coming here. Hybris will use Solr indexing, part of the Hybris framework. And there are other frameworks available in the market. Uh, Solr search mechanism is the one. Elasticsearch is another mechanism for searching. Apache Lucene is another search engine. OpenSearch Server is another search engine. So there are many search engines available in the market. So it's not just Solr, but Hybris is using Solr, and we are going to discuss to see how the Solr works behind the scenes and how we can add a new attribute to the Solr indexing. So for example, if we see it here, if I type train TRA, so it grab many products. If I type next letter, it's grabbing 4 products. If I type one more, it's getting different products. See how fast it is even coming the products. How fast the products are coming. See if I type one more, see how fast it's coming. So there are, if you see training, there are no products available that's matching with the training in the Solr search server. That's why it's not displaying any products here. So we will see how we can add one new attribute, and we'll see how the Solr searching works. So basically this is how the searching mechanism behind the scenes Hybris is using. Hybris uses Solr search behind the scenes when you are searching for products. The reason for Solr search is it's very fast compared to getting the data from relational database. So that's what the idea behind the Solr search. So let's discuss a little bit more about the Solr. Then we can see one example also on Solr. So Solr stands searching on Lucene with replication, and its main functionalities are indexing and searching. Those are the two main functionalities of Solr server or Solr indexing mechanism. And Solr is an open source REST-based enterprise search and analytical engine server from Apache Foundation. So it's basically the Solr search engine is from Apache software, and its core functionality is built on another search engine which is Apache Lucene. So this, based on this, some other functionalities are added to the Solr. So the base functionality is used is Apache Lucene in Solr also, and it's purely written in Java language. The Solr is written purely in Java language. So if you take this storefront, This entire storefront behind all these values, products, like if you go any products, behind the scenes where it's storing, it's going to store in the relational database. This all the data, whatever you see here, this all data is stored in the relational database, whereas this search data is stored in the Solr server. That's what we are trying to say here. Hybris Commerce works with the relational database as persistency layer, which means the entire storefront will use the relational database for storing any information, whereas for searching and navigation, Solr is used. Solr is used because the search is very fast. We need to provide to the users very fast when they search for a specific word or text. Okay, and this Solr requires a regular export of product data from Hybris Commerce to Solr, and this process is known as Solr indexing. So basically, whenever you add a new product to the relational database, you need to get that product to the Solr server also, and that need to be indexed. Otherwise, it's not going to show up that product when you search it. So in order to get the data on regularly from relational database, there is a cron jobs always used. You can schedule the cron job whatever the time frame you want it. So when the cron job runs, it go and gets the data from relational database, and it will store on the Solr server, which is indexed. So this process of basically getting the regular export of data, product data from Hybris Commerce to Solr is nothing but Solr indexing. Apache Solr uses the Lucene inverted index technique behind the scenes because it's very fast. How it is very fast? Because it uses some inverted index technique. What does that mean? So if you take, for example, any book, so there is always an index for any book, right? At the beginning or at the end of the book. So what that index will tell you is, it says a, for example, array list or collections or any topic you are looking, which will tell the topics in one word or two words, and then it will tell you the page number. So you can go directly to that page and look whatever you are looking at. So similar concept here also, the Solr will use the indexing mechanism. That's why Solr provides very fast searching feature. That's why when you search something, it's very fast. It's very fast. See how fast it is coming. So it uses the indexing technique behind the scenes, like searching a page by based on the indexing number using the page. So that's what the searching mechanism is. The next point is Solr can be used in two flavors, and one is standalone and another one is cloud-based and distributed. So Solr is available in two flavors. So you can use either standalone, means you can install the server standalone, or you can use already the cloud-based distributed Solr server part of your project. So it depends what you want to do part of your project. Let's see the high-level Solr architecture. So if you see it here, this is a Solr instance. Basically, it's a Solr instance which is running on JVM, and one Solr instance can have many cores like core 1, core 2, core 3. A core is nothing but the index of text and fields. Basically, the core contains the text and the fields, and each core can contain many documents. Each core can contain many documents, and a document is nothing but fields of group of fields and their values. A document contains group of fields. If you see here, a document contains again many fields. A field is nothing but key value pairs. Key value pairs. Basically, it's a data. So why we need many cores? If you want to, let's say, for example, store the product data in core 1, you can store it. If you want to store some secure data in another core, you can create a core and you can store it. If you want to store some media files you can store in another core. Like that, you can create any number of cores depending on your project requirement, or you can use only one core and you can set up the Solr server searching mechanism. So this is basically high level Solr architecture is. Let's quickly look at it, the Solr server. So I am already running the Hybris server. So Solr by default runs on 8983 port. So you can simply type localhost 8983. This is my localhost. And if you see here, core admin, see there are a couple of cores, one for apparel DE UK, and one for electronics, one for power tools. So if you want to create a new core, simply you can add new core, and then you can configure it, the new core, whatever the data that you want to store in the new core. So it has some Java properties about that Solr server, what it's using, where it's storing, all that stuff, and then thread dumps about that Solr if we have any issues, and some kind of logging mechanism, and you can see some kind of dashboard also. So what is about what version of Solr it's using, and what are the runtime environment variables, physical memory, swap, all that kind of thing. But the main thing is you can configure the new core if you want using this admin tabs, or using this UI interface, or you can even configure through command prompt. So you can, in order to configure command prompt, you need to run some commands. You can do that one, or you can do through this UI. Okay, so I'm not going in detail about these ones, but I want to just give a quick idea about the Solr. So let's go back to nodes again. So if you see it, like this is basically telling about the Solr is stored in the documents instead of tables. So in case of relational database, everything is stored in the tables, whereas in Solr, everything is stored in the documents. And Apache Solr, a document, if you take it, it's a group of fields and their values, and documents are basic unit of data. That's what I said, like basically the document contains key value pairs basically. That's what basically we are talking here. Okay, so let's see now how the Solr is used in Hybris. How the Solr is used in Hybris. So if you look at the storefront, if I go here, this is the storefront. When I try something, so this is the storefront. The user basically interacts with the storefront, and when you search here something, it is getting the data, right? That data is getting from Solr server. Here is the Solr server. This data is indexed. That's why you are getting very fast the data when you are searching it. If you go any other place in the storefront, it gets from the relational database, which is a Hybris database. It can be Oracle, MS SQL Server, or any other database. This one is non-indexed. So this data is stored in the tables, whereas this data is stored in the documents. But the question here is, well, let's say some data is added to the relational database. For example, new product is added to the relational database. So what the Solr will do is, there is a cron job is, you need to set it up. There are cron jobs available. So the cron jobs will get the data from Hybris database on regular basis, and it stores in the database, and it will index that new data so that it's available when you search through storefront. So it keep on gets the data from Hybris to the Solr. So there is a cron job always runs behind the scenes, which will get the data from Hybris and stores in Solr server, and it's indexed the whatever the data that you got, whatever got from the Hybris database, and it's ready for available once it's indexed to the storefront. So access data from Hybris DB will take more time than accessing from Solr, because indexed data is used in Solr. Hence, Solr is preferred than Hybris database, because the indexed data is always fast compared to the non-indexed data. This is how behind the scenes how the Solr is used in Hybris. Okay. Now there are different configuration files for the Solr. Like if you see how to configure Solr in Hybris, basically there are mainly 3 files available, and you can configure the Solr using the Impacts. And the Solr, I said, like it runs on default port number 8983. And the 3 important files are, one is solr.impacts, one is solr.impacts. So you can go ahead and STS and open the solr.impacts, not the trigger, sorry. So the solr.impacts, what it contains is, it contains the information about the Solr server and bunch of other configurations. So if you see here, so it is using the what's the URL for the Solr endpoint. So where the server is configured, where the Solr server is installed. That's what this one is basically. And it's also saying like what kind of mode the Solr is using, whether you want to use the standalone mode or whether it's a cloud-based mode. So in this case, it's configured as standalone mode. And also there are some configurations like batch size, number of threads, index mode. Like batch size is at a time how many you want to index it, and number of threads is how many threads you want to run parallelly. So if there are millions of records, the indexing may take a little bit more time. So you can decide how many threads you want to configure part of your configuration file. So by configuring number of threads, you can run parallel threads for the indexing mechanism. And then the indexing mode, there are different types of indexing strategies. One of them is two-phase indexing strategy. So we'll talk in a minute, but there is an indexing mechanism also. You need to specify what type of index you want to use it. Like that, there are many parameters in this Solr Impacts file. You need to configure all the Solr properties according to your project requirement. That's what I'm specifying here. And the next second file is Solr underscore en impacts. Basically, this is used for the localization. So if you want to localize any Solr attributes, you can localize the Solr attributes. And the third file is Solr trigger.impacts. This file is used to schedule cron jobs for Solr indexing. You can change the default cron job timings, but this is basically used to schedule the cron jobs so that it will keep on gets the data from database and it's do the indexing. So if you see it, Solr trigger.impacts, so it has basically by default out of the box there are 2 indexing mechanisms available. One is full indexing, another one is update indexing. So these 2 indexes are available out of the box, so you can schedule the time frame based on your project requirement. So that's what basically those are the 3 important files for the Solr server configuration. And there is some Solr server configuration property file also. You can specify in the property file, instead of specifying on the impacts, you can specify in the property file what is the mode you want to use it, what are the endpoints, and you want to use the log information, what level, and there are a bunch of parameters. If you want to use it, you can use it and you can configure according to your requirement. And like I said, there are different indexing strategies, right? The 3 types of indexing strategies are full indexing, update, and delete. If we take the full indexing, so what the full indexing will do is it deletes all the records and then recreates from scratch the indexing. So it has 2 types again in the full indexing. One is direct mode, another one is two-phase mode. In the direct mode, it will directly update every document in the index, whereas in two-phase mode, it creates a copy of the existing core and then it creates the indexing on that copy. Once the index is created on the copy, it will swap that copy with the original one. So basically, indexing is done on a copy which is a temporary copy. Once the temporary copy is successfully indexed, then the temporary copy will be replaced with the temporary copy will be stored in the original one, which means basically whenever there is a two-phase, that's why you call two-phase. So there is a copy, it will take it, indexing is performed on the copy. If it is successfully performed the indexing, then it will copy that swapped the temporary core to the original core. That's what basically two-phase mode indexing. And then the updating indexing is basically you want to update a documents within a specific time frame, then you can use the update indexing. This operation can be done frequently if needed, as it consumes less time compared to full indexing, because full indexing recreates from the scratch, so it will delete all the existing ones and recreates it, whereas the update only creates the index for the modified documents or modified data, you can say. That's why the update will be used on regular basis. And the delete indexing, basically to completely remove the indexed document that are not used anymore. So if you don't want to keep that data, so you can simply use the delete indexing. This delete indexing periodically checks the data that is not used anymore and can delete the data. That's what you see here. Unwanted index data is deleted from Solr. That's what basically the different types of indexing strategies. Now the next question is, what can be indexed in Hybris? Any item type can be indexed using HMC, backoffice, or through Impacts. So any item can be indexed. And the indexing for product item type is already done by Hybris out of the box. So all the products by default are indexed. So that's out of the functionality. So if you want to add a new attribute to the product and you want to use that new attribute to be indexed, then you need to follow some steps, because it's not you are adding a new attribute, it won't automatically add that new attribute to the product indexing. So we will see how we can add a new attribute. Hybris provides cron jobs for performing full index, update and delete. So there are different existing cron jobs available. So you can simply go to HMC and you can see it. Let's go ahead and quickly see the different cron jobs available. You can go to HMC. You can go to HMC and then System cron jobs. System, then go to cron jobs and search for a full cron job here. So if you search full, see there is a full cron job for a DE store, UK store, electronic store and power tool store. So if you click on anything here, you can see it is scheduled the time frame here, like a time schedule. See, it's scheduled every day to run at 3:05. So the task is, this full indexing is scheduled to run every day at 3:05 p.m. or 3:05 a.m. So you can change the schedule if you want based on your project needs. But there are cron jobs already available out of the box, so you don't need to write from the scratch. Just you need to configure based on your project requirements. So that's what basically we are talking here. Just I specified a screenshot to see how you can see the out of the box cron jobs. Out of the box cron jobs. Now that's what about high level description about the Solr. Now let's take a scenario to see how we can add. Let's take a scenario how we can add a new attribute to the Solr indexing. How we can add a new attribute to the Solr indexing. I want to create a new attribute called ChennaReddyTraining, and I want to add this ChennaReddyTraining to the Solr indexing, and at the same time I want to display the indexed ChennaReddyTraining data in the product detail page. in the product detail page. So if you see it before indexing, this is what I have it. So if you go here and if you search for training, you are not getting any products because there is nothing matching with the product. There is nothing matching with this text. There is no product that has training. That's why you are not getting any products. So if you just type first 4 characters, see there are some products available that are matching with this text. Whereas if you see training, there is no data available. So let's see, this is before adding our new attribute to the indexing. So this is how the output will be. We want to see it. So training, when I type it, so it's coming this attribute. And at the same time, I want to display the value of that indexed in the product detail page. So you can see here. So this is my requirement to see how I can add my new attribute ChennaTraining to the indexing. So in this case, ChennaTraining is the new attribute and that has the value as that has the product training classes. So when I type training classes, I want to get that index data, and at the same time I want to display on the product detail page. So this is the output I want to see it. So in order to see this output, let's see what are the steps involved and what we need to do step by step. The first step is, so for this one, I have already some pre-requirement. The pre-requirement is I built a custom module called ChennaTraining using Ant module gen. So you can simply generate Ant module gen and then you can create a custom module. That's what I created it here. I am not creating it again, but that's a pre-requirement for this exercise, whatever I'm going to show here. So I created already the custom module based on the default module, default storefront. I created a custom module. So my custom module is called ChennaTraining, and if you see it, when I generate using Ant module, it created a bunch of extensions. So my storefront now is ChennaTraining storefront, and it has a bunch of extensions. So these are all the extensions created when I generated custom module using Ant module gen. So you need to do this one as a pre-requirement in order to complete my exercise. Okay, let's discuss one step at a time, and then we'll see more details how each step is executed, and then discuss more details. So the first step is, so I have a ChennaTraining already created it, custom module. So I need to go to the ChennaTraining items.xml because I need to add a new attribute, right? I need to add a new attribute. I need to add a new attribute to the product model. So in order to add a new attribute to the product model, you can simply copy paste this one. You can simply copy paste this and paste in the ChennaTraining apparel product. So apparel product is extends to the default, which is a product. I simply copied and pasted here. So you can see here I created a new attribute called ChennaTraining, and it is a property, which means it's storing in the database. So basically I am adding here ChennaTraining attribute to the product table, ChennaTraining column to the products table. So we call attributes, not the columns. So basically we are adding this attribute to the products table. That's what the step one is. Once you are done adding this new attribute to the product model, you need to run the ant clean all and perform update. So you can say simply ant clean all. You need to run ant clean all, and then once ant clean all is done, you need to go to HAC platform and perform the update. So the ant clean all will take 2-3 minutes. let it complete it. But this step will do is basically we added it, so it adds that new attribute to the apparel product model class, and also it will add that new attribute in the database to the products table. That's what this step 2 will do it. So let it complete that one, and let's move to the next step in the meanwhile. So the third step is, so we are in the first and second step, we added the new attribute to the database and also to the product model. Now we need to add this new attribute ChennaReddyTraining to the Solr, to the indexing for Solr. So you can open the solr.impacts file. You can open the solr.impacts file, which is, let's add to the apparel UK. So let's add a new attribute in the apparel UK storefront. So what I did here is, you can simply copy and paste this impacts. You can simply copy and paste this impacts in this file. So I already copied and pasted it. So I am adding here ChennaReddyTraining to the Solr indexing. So I'm adding my new attribute to the Solr indexing. So basically you can copy this syntax that's there at the top here. Here is the syntax. You can simply copy that line, and then you can define what is the new attribute that you want to add to the Solr indexing. So simply I'm adding ChennaReddyTraining to the Solr indexing, and I have some properties here like true, which is basically use the auto spell check and auto complete. So if you have some spelling checks, so it will recognize automatically. And I'm not writing any providers, because I want to send the data as is to the Solr server for indexing. That's a step 3. Now, after adding the new attribute to the Solr indexing, now we need to add some data part of this for this attribute, right? So in order to add some data, now go to the products.impacts, which is again available in apparel store sample data, and take one of the existing attribute. So this is one of the existing product, and use that product and add our new attribute, which is ChennaReddyTraining, and a value, so that when you search for this value, training glasses, it should get this product in the searching mechanism. So basically I'm trying to add, now go to products.xml, product.impacts, not XML. Go to product.impacts and then add a new product. So basically here I took one of the existing product from the top, and I took one of the existing product, and then I added my new attribute, which is ChennaReddyTraining, to the product, and ChennaReddyTraining has now the value as training glasses, which means when I search in the search box training glasses, it should get this product in the search as a product list. So when I go and search here training glasses, it should get that product here. If you see here, it's not getting anything right now because it's not getting anything. I'm simply starting the server because we need to perform the update. So it's training glasses. When you search it, it should display this product. That's what we are adding here to the product impacts. That's a step 4. And now once you've done that step 4, you can do this step 5. You need to go to the run. You need to run and clean all or ant all, and then you need to go to HSE platform and you need to perform update again. So while performing update, you need to make sure you are selecting the apparel store checkbox. because if you don't check this one, it's not going to import this data. By checking this apparel store in HAC platform product, it will import this data. Or instead of doing that one, you can simply run the above impexes by going to the HAC console impex. So you can run manually those impexes, or you can perform the update. So you can do one of those two steps. You can do one of those two steps. Now, part of step 2, we said we perform the update, right? So you can go to platform and update and click on update. So this will perform the update, which means it creates the new attribute ChennaReddyTraining in the products database, products table. So that's what step 2. So we are done. Now we are at step 5. So we are saying run and clean all, and then or and all, go to HAC platform and perform this one. So what it's saying here is go to update, and then at the bottom you see there is something called apparel store. So this is, you need to check it. You need to check this and then click on update, or you can run these impexes manually. So I'm going to run the impexes manually because the update will take 5-6 minutes, so I don't want to waste the time. Let's run these impexes quickly. Let's run these two impexes. So this is the one impex. So basically you can go to the solr.impex, copy this one. Instead of performing the update, we are running the impexes directly. So go to console, HAC console, and then impex, and then paste it here. And if you see here, it's using some macros. So simply copy the macros that are there at the top. Simply copy all these macros. There are some extra macros, that's okay even if you copy, because you need to, otherwise you need to figure out exactly which macros are used part of this impact. And you can simply say import. So this is basically imported successfully. And do the same thing for the next impacts also, which is products. So import the products. So I'm simply copying again this impacts that we created it, and then go to HAC impacts, paste it there, and it's using some macros again. Simply go at the top, copy the macros, all the macros. So you don't need to worry if there are extra macros. Copy all of them and then say import. And then say import. See, I am done this just within 1 minute instead of waiting 7 to 8 minutes. So if you perform this update, so it takes some time. Instead of doing that, I simply manually executed the impexes. Now we need to go and see whether the new attribute is showing up in the products. Let's go to the HMC. We just added the product, right? That's a ChennaReddyTraining. Now let's see whether that's available. So you can go to catalogs, products, and this is the product that we added it. If you notice it here, the product is, this is the new product that we added to the products impex. So search for that product and see it's available. So you can double click on it. So this is a staged version. And if you go to the administration tab, you can see ChennaReddyTraining, which has the value training classes. So ChennaReddyTraining training classes. So if we go, this is the staged version. So if we go to the online version and again search it, this is the online version, and see whether our data is there. So it is there. So if the data is not here, you need to synchronize it. So how you can synchronize it? Basically you can go back here. Double click it, and then start synchronization, or you can go to the catalogs and the product apparel product catalog staged, and you can synchronize the entire product catalog. So either you can do the specific product or you can do the entire product synchronization, catalog synchronization. That's what basically we are trying to say here. That's what basically we are trying to say here. So you can verify whether it's added to the indexing or not, our new attribute. If you go in order to verify it, you need to go to system, facet search, and then index types. So we added for UK, right? Apparel UK. And if you scroll down to see our new attributes added to the Solr indexing. So we added a new attribute to the Solr indexing. Now it's available part of existing other attributes for Solr indexing. That's what basically this step is showing up. So just you can verify to see whether that attribute is added to the Solr indexing. And this step is optional. You can, even if you want to verify, you can go and verify the products table to see whether it has the new attribute. You can see here ChennaReddyTraining, and it has the value as training glasses because one is for online, one for staged. That's what it is. So once you verify that, so we just discussed the synchronization. So you need to do the synchronization. Once you've done the synchronization, the next step is you need to add this new attribute, ChennaReddyTraining attribute, to the search XML. In the Solr facet search.xml, you need to add your new attribute. So you can go to commerce service spring Solr facet search.xml, Solr facet search.xml, spring commerce. Let's see, this file is commerce spring Solr facet search.xml. So in this one, if you observe here, there are bunch of attributes available part of the search mechanism. So like if you see here, EON, code, name, manufacturer name, keywords, category. So these are all the attributes. So when you search in a store, when you search here, so it is going to search this text in all these attributes, in all these columns in the database to see whether any of this column has this text. So we need to add our new attribute. Simply you can copy this one, copy this bean and add to the existing list. So I just copied and pasted it here already. So you can see here. Now we added our new attribute ChennaReddyTraining to the list of existing attributes. So when someone search for a text, now it will search the text in this column also. If this column has the text, then it will return the corresponding product. That's what basically this step is. So that's what you see here. This is a screenshot. You need to add to the list of existing attributes. Once you've done that one, so now we need to display that indexed ChennaReddyTraining attribute in the product detail page, right? That's another requirement. So you need to go to the ChennaReddyTraining beans.xml. You need to go to the ChennaReddyTraining facades beans.xml and then add your new attribute to the product data. That's what basically you can copy and paste the bean. So which is available part of the product data. This is the attribute. At the same time, you need to populate now the product data with this new attribute, right? So you need to go to the apparel product populator, and then you need to set the product model data into the product data so that we can use on the client side in the product detail page. So simply you can say target dot set ChennaReddyTraining. You can get the data from model and set it in the target so that I can use it in the client. So this is basically the indexed data that we want to display in the product detail page. In order to do that, you need to add in the first arts to the product the attribute, new attribute, and you need to modify the apparel product populator. Means you need to add your new attribute. That's what basically this step is talking about. So you can see clearly it's simply getting it and setting the variable. And the final step is you need to go to the product detail. So we said we want to display in the product detail page, right? The index data. So you need to go to the responsive because it's a responsive website, right? So you can copy this line of code and paste it in the wherever you want it. So I simply copied already. So you can see here product.code and then I said product.ChennaRedTraining because we added ChennaRedTraining to the product, and whatever is the indexed value, it should display it here. That's what this meaning is. So we are displaying the product, the indexed data in the product detail page. That's what basically step 9. And step 10 is, this is the very important. So once you've done all those steps, this is the last step. You need to perform the indexing. So you need to perform the indexing because we added the data to the database table and we got the data into the Hybris Solr. Now we need to perform the indexing because indexing is a part of the cron job, so we don't want to wait. So you can simply go ahead and run manually the indexing. So you can go to system facet search, indexer operation wizard, and then you can see here there is a full update and delete modes, and then select apparel UK and simply perform the indexing. So what this will do is, whatever the new attribute, that new product we added it, which is one of the existing product, we took it but we named it as training glasses. If you notice it here, training glasses. So this will be now indexed. That's what this step is doing. So it's going to create an index for this new attribute, which is ChennaRedTraining, and whenever you type this one, it's going to get this product because it is indexing right now. Let it finish the index, so it will take just 2 minutes. So that's the last step. And once you've done that step, the indexing, you need to perform the and clean all and then start the server. So right now it's performing the indexing. So now you can see indexing finished successfully. So indexing is done. So I already ran the server, perform the and clean all. I'm not going to do it again and clean all, but you need to do and clean all and then start the server. Now I started the server already. Now let's go to our ChennaRedTraining storefront, see whether it will display. It's apparel UK, right? So you need to press apparel UK and see whether when I type training, I'm going to get the product or not, because we added ChennaRedTraining to the indexing. So if you notice it here, this is the home page, right? So if you type here, see there are a bunch of products coming. Training. See, this is the product we just tied up with the training. So now you see ChennaRedTraining column has attribute value as training glasses. Now this is, previously if you notice it at the beginning when I'm trying training, it's not getting any data. If we see it here, if we see in the requirement, see when I type it, there is nothing showing up here. Now you observe here, see the product is now getting from Solr because we created a new attribute called ChennaRedTraining. That ChennaRedTraining has the value training glasses, that value has training classes. See, this got the product, and when you click on this product, when you click on that product, you will see how it displays in the product detail page. You see how it displays. See, this is the training classes, the indexed data that we are displaying in the product detail page. The indexed data. So the indexed data is ChennaReddyTraining. If you notice it here, the indexed data is ChennaReddyTraining classes, and the attribute we add is ChennaReddyTraining. So this is indexed. So when you search for this one, it is getting this product in the part of the search mechanism, part of the search. That's what basically you need to do in order to add a new attribute. So you can observe even the logs here, the logs, search logs. See, before adding our attribute, there is no ChennaReddyTraining here. After adding our attribute to the Solr indexing, see, ChennaReddyTraining is now part of the search mechanism. This is coming because of this commerce Solr facet, because we added our ChennaReddyTraining also part of the search mechanism. See here the name, manufacturer name, keywords, category name, all these are the ones. We added this, our new attribute also. Now it's available part of the Solr searching. Now whenever you type the word, so it's going to search in this new attribute also to see whether the new attribute has that value or not. If it has it, it will get the data part of the search list. And this is the step. Basically, finally we are seeing it. That's what I've shown just here. So this is how you can add a new attribute to the existing Solr mechanism, and how you can display that indexed data even in the page if we want it. So I just want to quickly recap the steps just for 2 minutes. So we need to add in order to add a new attribute. So you need to create a new attribute in items.xml, whatever your items.xml file. Then and clean all perform the update. Then add to the Solr Impacts file, and then add the product data, and then you can verify to see whether that's available. And once your verification is done, you can perform the synchronization for the product catalog, because it's in stage, so we want to make sure it's going to the online. And then you need to add to the commerce services spring facet search.xml, so that it's available part of the search mechanism, your new attribute. And then if you want to display that new attribute in the any page, so in our case we are displaying the product detail. For that I need to modify the populator so that it will get the index data, and then the JSP that you want to display, and then finally do the indexing. So this indexing basically index that new product, and it will get that new product when you are searching. So if you search here, see, it's coming. So this is coming because of that indexing mechanism. So that's what basically you need to do it in order to add a new attribute. That's what you need to do basically in order to add a new attribute to the Solr indexing. This is for this session, and I will try to get more on other topics like how to create new core instances. And thank you for your time, and thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.